Surrogate Mom by Jean M. Cleary, narrated by Duane Burnett. An old horse named Gloria came to live with us when our children were young. I did not want her to come to our acreage because she was past 20 years old, which is quite old for a horse. They do not live as many years as human beings do. She will die here, and that will be a sad time for all of us, I thought. But when I tried to explain this to our 16-year-old daughter Carol, she insisted. She's the one I want. She was calling by phone from Lloydminster, Alberta, where she had been staying with her cousins, daughters of my twin sister. They had worked some shifts at Dairy Queen, and Carol decided to spend her money on this horse, owned by her cousins and their parents. Gloria was a patient, gentle mare, an American saddlebred with papers to prove her good breeding. Carol asked her dad to bring a horse trailer when we came there to visit her Aunt Joan and Uncle Bob. So at the end of the summer, we hauled a horse trailer to Lloydminster. We brought Carol and Gloria home to our acreage near College Heights, Alberta, where our children attended school. We were surprised that Gloria still had plenty of energy and could run faster than our younger horses. Another surprise was in store for us. After she was with us for 2 years, she had a baby, a little filly. We thought that was wonderful, but because of her age, we decided to keep her separated from our young Arabian stallion, so she would not have any more little ones to raise. But he got into the pasture where Gloria was, and Shorten caused a problem. She didn't want him in the pasture, most likely because of her foal, only a week old, was there with her. She'd be protective of her baby, so they had a fight. We were away from home that day and heard what happened from our friend, Mr. Werner, who lived nearby and saw the clash between the two horses. We had bought our land from him and enjoyed having the Werners for neighbors. He explained that Gloria's leg had been injured, and she fell and could not get up again. The veterinarian came to try to help her, but he felt that she would not be able to recover at her age, 22, and should be put out of her misery. I should have accepted his decision, but I suggested that we wait until the next day before giving her the lethal injection, just to see if she might possibly survive this injury. So the vet doctor went back to town. We brought Gloria some water and sweet clover to eat, hoped for the best. Terror in the night. For many years we had a wonderful pet, a dog, part German Shepherd and part Golden Lab, whose name was Shane. The day Gloria was injured, I felt impressed at midnight to go out to the pasture and stay a while with her, and Shane came along with me. I covered Gloria with a canvas tarp to protect her from the cool night air, and sat beside her on a bale of hay. She seemed very agitated and kept throwing her legs around, trying to stand on her feet. In her pitiful struggle to get up, she had dug holes in the ground with her hoofs. Suddenly, I became alarmed, for now I hear what Gloria had been hearing. Coyotes, howling, first far away, but coming closer. I knew that they would try to steal her foal, and likely attack her. I spoke to her, reassuring her, that we would take care of her baby for her. But I knew that Shane could not run off a whole pack of coyotes. There was no way of knowing how many of these creatures there were, and we were a long distance from our house. I thought that if necessary, I would run to our neighbor, young Ralph Werner, whose mobile home was just across the road from where Gloria fell. I started singing, "There'll be peace in the valley for me someday. There'll be peace in the valley for me. No more sorrow or sadness or trouble will be. There'll be peace in the valley for me." Gloria quit throwing her legs around. The hungry coyotes backed away into the night, and all was quiet in the countryside. Gloria was listening to the song, and angels seemed to be near. The sad day had come. After the threat from the coyotes was past, I hurried back to the house with our dog Shane, and Carol's dad got out of bed and went to the pasture to stay with Gloria. The next morning, she refused to eat or drink, so we had to call the vet doctor back to give her the injections she needed to put her out of her misery. I asked the veterinarian if he thought her little foal should be brought to a corral closer to the house. He said that she would surely hurt herself trying to return to where her mother's still body was. Therefore, it was best to leave her there for a little while, until she came to understand that her mother was no longer with her. I felt very sad when I saw the hungry little one nibble on the tip of one of her mother's ears that was not covered by the canvas tarp over the mare's body. Standing nearby, watching from the other side of the fence, was another mare named Star. She also had a little filly and plenty of milk. Looking into her one eye that could see, I spoke to her, suggesting that she might give this hungry little one a drink of her milk. Her eyes seemed to flicker, and I had the impression that she understood. But she refused, throwing her head high and whinnying to her own foal to follow. She ran away. Our dog Shane seemed to understand that something very sad had happened, and stood nearby for a long time. A nurse came to help. The veterinarian had calf formula for sale, but he was in grave doubt that a foal so young could survive without the attention of its mother. Then Mr. Werner's daughter Grace, friends with our youngest daughter Dale, remembered a picture she had seen of a foal that had been nursed by a nanny goat. I wondered who in our area might have goats, so I phoned a friend who lived in Lacombe for many years, Jean Wood. She had seen goats not far north of College Heights, in Morningside. Our son Michael, who had just passed his driving exam and bought an old car, helped me to find the goat farm. When I told the farmer we needed goat's milk and why, he said that he didn't milk his goats. "But you can milk one if you like," he added with a grin. "Would you sell one of your goats?" I asked him. This friendly farmer had a solution to our problem. A little nanny that had lost its kid the same day Gloria died. She would be the ideal surrogate mom for our pitiful little foal. He asked for only $40, which we thought was a fair price. We had been expecting to buy milk that day. I had only $20 in my purse, but Michael had $20, so we bought her on the spot. Eyeing the man's half-ton truck, I asked him, "How shall we transport her?" He replied, "Put her in your car." I was glad that Michael had brought me there in his old car. We spread some newspapers in the back of the car, and the farmer lifted the unhappy, bawling Nanny into the car beside Michael's friend Al, who had accompanied us. On the way home, over all the commotion in the back seat, I said to Michael, "We forgot to get a receipt for our money." "No matter, Mom," Michael replied. "We've got the goat." When we arrived home, Mrs. Werner gave us a large nipple she had used for feeding young calves. So Michael and Elle milked the goat and put the milk into a pop bottle. Our little foal had her first drink of goat's milk. My husband, Ernie, took on the task of milking the goat until we realized that our new nanny was nursing this adopted kid. Thanks to Nanny, she survived, and we named her Belle. But that first day, when our attention was elsewhere, this goat ate our small willow tree. All of it. We had to keep her tied up until we wound chicken wire all around the fencing of the small corral. Whenever they lay down to sleep, Nanny would cuddle up close with her head on Belle's neck. She cried and complained whenever we took Belle out of the corral for exercise. When I brought clover from the side of the road and branches from certain kinds of trees for a treat, Nanny would lay her head on my shoulder and look at me with those strange eyes goats have, somewhat like a cat's eyes. The little horse would also eat the branches, which horses do not usually eat. Though Belle was growing fast, Nanny was very protective of her. One day a family member came, bringing their German Shepherd puppy with her. I brought my camera outside to take pictures. The pup was curious about the two creatures in the corral and approached them. I took a picture of the puppy looking through the wire at Nanny. I snapped a second picture and was happy to see that I'd caught an unexpected event on camera. The second photo showed a ball of fur flying through the air. Nanny had sent a message to this visitor that she was not welcome near her adopted kid. I was not happy to see Nanny butt the poor little pup, sending her flying, but since she had done it, I was glad I had the picture. The puppy must have been feeling very sore, but did not seem to have been seriously injured. She did not venture near the corral again. Her curiosity was satisfied. Belle grows up. Belle had Nanny's undivided attention, but when we brought her outside their corral into the pasture, it was a very different situation. The other horses did not want to be near them. It could have been because of the scent of the goat on her was noticeable to a horse. The mares would kick at her and chase her away, and this worried me. So I called the veterinarian to speak with him about this problem. I was afraid that Belle might be hurt, as her mother had been seriously injured. What could we do to protect Belle when she was out in the pasture? The vet suggested that we separate the other two foals on our property from their mothers and put all 3 young ones together. He said that they were old enough to be weaned from their mother's milk, and that the mares would soon be weaning their young. He thought that the younger horses would accept Belle. This was good advice, and they did get along very well together. Horses, like children, do not stay babies forever. Eventually, they grow up and take their place in the world. The cold Alberta winter was approaching, and we worried about Nanny, as we did not have a good place to shelter her from the freezing cold. Before we moved Belle out of the corral that was home to her and Nanny, I called the goat farmer and offered to give Nanny back to him. I thought that her familiar home with the goat farmer and his goats would be the best place for her now. The man came with his half-ton truck and insisted on giving back half of the purchase price we paid for, though I felt that she had done a great service for us in raising our little horse. When we picked her up and placed her into the back of his truck, she resisted loudly, bawling and complaining, just as she had when we put her in Michael's car. He said not to worry about her, that he had a mate waiting for her and she would have her own kid in the springtime. Then she would be content. We were sad to see Nanny go, but are forever grateful for the unconditional love she brought into our lives. Though we cope with the interference with God's creation, His character of love is often reflected in the creatures He has made. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. My name is Duane Burnett, and thank you for listening to Surrogate Mom by Cleary.